Welcome to the final update of the Tom Nook sweater. So week 5 started on Monday, the 23rd of February, and it was another productive day. I cast off the first sleeve, cast on the second sleeve, did all the orange rib, and started on the yellow too. On Tuesday, I continued knitting the yellow and actually started my increases, and on Wednesday, I started working on the color work, while of course following the notes I had from my first sleeve. On Thursday, I decided that I had to finish the sleeve today, so I spent a very good chunk of the afternoon knitting up the color work, started decreasing, and by 6:30 I was casting off the second sleeve. I immediately went to my ironing board to block the sleeves, and I was actually about to start pinning them into the sweater when I remembered it would be much easier to knit the collar before the sleeves are in. So I switched gears and started picking up the stitches along the neckline. For the collar, after 3 rows, I realized that I'd messed up the rib stitch pattern, so I just decided to call it a day. So on Friday, I frogged the collar and started over. And then I switched to the orange and actually added a yellow stripe. On Saturday, I continued my yellow stripe on the collar and then continued it in the orange until I was happy with how it looked and started casting off. I tried it on here to double check that I liked it, and yeah, it looks really great. So next I sewed up the sleeves, and I know my hair looks different here, but it is the same day, I promise. I decided to weave in all my ends at this point, so I did that, and finally I set the sleeves in to the sweater. And this is what it looks like. I'm honestly so happy with it. I think it's like a pretty much exact replica of what I wanted to do. The puffy sleeve was a very welcome surprise. I love the length of the sleeves. I think that turned out really perfect. I was giving myself a really hard time while I was knitting the first sleeve, like really thinking of how it needs to match. It needs to be perfect. It needs to line up. Yeah, I think it was a really good exercise in both perseverance and like not shying away from it just because it's challenging and just because it was going to be difficult. But also I think it was a learning experience in the sense that I started paying attention to other sweaters and other sleeves. I realized that a lot of things like this do not line up perfectly. They match up close enough, and from a distance it looks like it matches. But if you zoom right in, some of the stripes match really well and some of the stripes don't match so well. But it still looks like the whole thing matches. And I think that's kind of the key. And I kind of started giving myself a little bit more space for it to just be really close and not perfect. And yeah, I think it's really close. So I am really happy with it. The sweater itself is incredibly warm and really cozy. Thanks for coming along. I really had fun doing this like weekly update sort of format for this sweater. And I will see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.